The ice cream dream. Lily skipped ahead, her bright red sneakers flashing between the cracks in the sidewalk. Mint chocolate chip, she declared, the words bubbling out like fizz from a shaken soda. That's what I'm getting. Unless they have bubblegum. Oh, Mom, bubblegum and sprinkles. Mai chuckled, the sound warm and comforting like sunshine on her skin. We'll see what they have, little one. But remember, you promised to try something new. Main Street buzzed with late afternoon energy. Cars hummed, bicycle bells jingled, and the air smelled faintly of hot dogs and blooming petunias. The promise of ice cream, cold and sweet, intensified Lily's anticipation. She imagined the creamy coolness melting on her tongue, the explosion of flavor, the sticky sweetness on her fingers. Then, she saw him. Mr. Peterson, sitting on the bench outside the hardware store, his usually gentle face creased in concentration. He was counting money, a thick wad of bills held loosely in his calloused hand. It looked like a lot of money. Lily stopped dead in her tracks, her ice cream dreams momentarily forgotten. She tugged on her mother's sleeve, her voice a hushed whisper. Mom, look! Mr. Peterson has so much money. Mai followed Lily's gaze. Yes, he does, she said calmly, her eyes meeting Mr. Peterson's for a fleeting moment before he looked away, seemingly embarrassed. But why? Lily persisted, her brow furrowed. Is he buying something really, really big at the hardware store? Like a whole new toolbox, filled with everything. Mai gently steered Lily forward, away from the bench. Lily, she said softly, it's not polite to stare, and it's certainly not polite to talk about other people's money. What Mr. Peterson does with his money is his business, understand? Lily's face crumpled slightly. But it's so much. Maybe he won the lottery. Mai squeezed Lily's hand. Maybe he did. Or maybe he saved it. Or maybe, well, it doesn't matter, does it? We should be happy for him, whatever the reason. They continued walking, the tantalizing aroma of waffle cones growing stronger with each step. Lily, however, remained subdued, her initial excitement dimmed by curiosity. The image of Mr. Peterson's thick wad of bills danced in her head, overshadowing the imagined taste of mint chocolate chip. But what if he needs help? Lily asked quietly, her voice barely audible above the street noise. What if someone tries to take it from him? Mai stopped walking, turning to face her daughter. She knelt down, her eyes level with Lily's. Lily, she said, her voice firm but gentle, Mr. Peterson is a strong man. He can take care of himself. And more importantly, he deserves our respect. We shouldn't assume the worst about people, especially not someone as kind and generous as Mr. Peterson. Lily's eyes widened slightly, remembering the time Mr. Peterson had helped her retrieve her runaway kite from the tallest tree in the park. He hadn't hesitated, climbing fearlessly to rescue her beloved kite. Mai smiled, seeing the shift in Lily's expression. Sometimes, Lilybug, the best thing we can do is mind our own business and offer a kind smile. You never know what someone else is going through, or what they've accomplished. She stood up, taking Lily's hand again. Now, how about that ice cream? Have you decided on a flavor yet? Lily took a deep breath, the sweet scent of waffle cones filling her lungs. The image of Mr. Peterson's money still lingered, but it was slowly being replaced by the anticipation of cold, creamy goodness. Okay, she said, a hint of her earlier enthusiasm returning. But maybe I'll just get one scoop. Then I can save some of my allowance, in case someone needs help. Sprinkles to the rescue. The bell above the door jingled merrily as Lily and Mai stepped into Sweet Surrender, the local ice cream parlor. The air hung thick with the scent of sugar, vanilla, and waffle cones, a symphony of sweetness that made Lily's nose twitch with delight. Sunlight streamed through the large front windows, illuminating swirling dust motes dancing in the air and reflecting off the chrome fixtures of the soda fountain. Lily's eyes darted around, taking in the kaleidoscope of colors, bubblegum pink walls adorned with vintage ice cream advertisements, the rainbow array of sprinkles behind the counter, and the swirling, hypnotic patterns of the frozen yogurt machine. Mai smiled, a soft curve of her lips. What flavor are you thinking, Lilybug? Lily hummed, pretending to consider the options, though she already knew. Strawberry cheesecake. Mai chuckled, moving towards the counter. That's when Lily saw him. Mr. Peterson, standing near the topping station, his brow furrowed in concentration. He was reaching, stretching his arm towards a tall jar of rainbow sprinkles, but it was just beyond his grasp. He strained a little more, his fingers brushing against the glass, but to no avail. Lily watched for a moment, her strawberry cheesecake ambitions momentarily forgotten. He looked like he really wanted those sprinkles. And he looked, well, a little stuck. Without a second thought, Lily darted away from her mother, weaving between the small tables and chairs. Mr. Peterson, she called out, her voice ringing slightly in the otherwise quiet shop. He turned, a surprised expression on his face. Oh, hello, Lily. You need sprinkles? She asked, already assessing the situation. The jar was indeed high up, probably placed there by a taller employee. Just having a bit of trouble reaching them, he admitted, a faint blush rising on his cheeks. Lily grinned, already formulating a plan. She grabbed a small, lightweight stool that was tucked beneath a nearby table. Carefully, she positioned it in front of the sprinkle station. Here, let me help. Before Mr. Peterson could protest, Lily had clambered onto the stool. Her small hands easily reached the jar, and she carefully lifted it down. The sprinkles shifted inside, making a soft, rhythmic sound like tiny, colorful pebbles. Here you go, Lily said, beaming as she presented the jar to him. Mr. Peterson's eyes crinkled at the corners as he smiled. Thank you, Lily. That was very kind of you. He took the jar, his fingers brushing hers for a fleeting moment. I appreciate that more than you know. Lily hopped off the stool, feeling a warm glow of satisfaction. You're welcome, Mr. Peterson. She glanced over at her mother, who was watching them with a soft smile. Mai gave her a subtle nod of approval. Mr. Peterson carefully poured a generous amount of sprinkles onto his sundae. These are for my grandson, he explained, catching Lily's eye. He loves rainbow sprinkles. Lily's heart swelled a little. Sprinkles for his grandson. That was nice. She skipped back to her mother, who was now placing their order. Strawberry cheesecake for the little helper, Mai said to the young woman behind the counter, winking at Lily. Lily grinned, feeling a little bit taller, a little bit brighter, like she herself had been sprinkled with something special. Something more than just sugar. A generous surprise. Lily skipped ahead, nearly tripping over a gnarled root that snaked across the paved path. Mom, wait up, she called, her breath puffing out in little white clouds. The November air was crisp, carrying the scent of damp leaves and wood smoke from nearby houses. Mai smiled, quickening her pace. They were headed to the park, a weekly ritual that Lily anticipated with boundless energy. The playground always buzzed with activity, a kaleidoscope of brightly colored jackets and shrieking laughter. Reaching the park's entrance, Lily immediately veered off towards the swing set, but paused, noticing Mr. Peterson struggling with a heavy box near the picnic tables. Mom, look! It's the man from the store, the one with the... She trailed off, searching for the right word. The sparkly coins. Mai followed her daughter's gaze. Lily, remember what we talked about? It's not polite to point or talk about people's belongings. Lily's cheeks flushed pink. She knew her mom was right, but the allure of the shiny coins was hard to resist. She scampered towards Mr. Peterson anyway, her innate helpfulness overriding her embarrassment. Can I help you, sir? She asked, her voice small but sincere. Mr. Peterson looked up, his weathered face crinkling into a warm smile. Well, hello there, young lady. And thank you. I could certainly use a little assistance. This box is heavier than it looks. He gestured towards the box, which was plastered with images of smiling children enjoying ice cream cones. Together, they managed to lift the box onto a nearby picnic table. Thank you, Lily, Mr. Peterson said, extending a hand. I'm Arthur Peterson, but most folks call me Art. I'm Lily Chen, and this is my mom, Mai. Lily beamed, pleased that she had remembered her manners this time. Mai approached, offering Mr. Peterson a grateful smile. Thank you for being so kind to Lily, Mr. Peterson. Please, call me Art. And the pleasure is all mine. Lily here was a real lifesaver. He then gestured towards the box. I thought I'd treat all the children at the park to some ice cream. It's a beautiful day, and what's life without a little sweetness? Lily's eyes widened. Ice cream for everyone? Even me? Art chuckled. Especially you, young lady. You earned it. He winked. It's the least I can do to thank you for your discretion the other day. Mai looked at Art, then at Lily, a question forming in her eyes. Before she could ask, a gaggle of children, drawn by the sight of the ice cream box, began to gather around the picnic table. Art, with a gentle authority, organized them into a neat line. He carefully opened the box, revealing a rainbow of ice cream flavors. The air filled with the sweet aroma of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Lily watched, mesmerized, as Art handed out cones, his face radiating genuine pleasure. He spoke to each child with patience and kindness, asking them about their favorite flavors and offering words of encouragement. Some of the parents looked on with surprised expressions, a mixture of gratitude and curiosity in their eyes. Mai leaned down to Lily. He's a very generous man, isn't he? Lily nodded, her mouth already full of strawberry ice cream. The best! Watching Art, Mai felt a warmth spread through her chest. It reminded her of the kindness she had received when she first arrived in the country, the small gestures of support that had made all the difference. She resolved to pay it forward, to find her own way to spread a little sweetness in the world. The park buzzed with renewed energy. The squeals of laughter were now accompanied by satisfied sighs and the happy slurping of ice cream. Lily, her face smeared with pink, skipped back to the swings, her heart full of joy. It wasn't just the ice cream, she realized. It was the feeling of being part of something good, something kind. Park adventures and a scraped knee. The park buzzed with the late afternoon energy of children released from school and parents seeking a breath of fresh air. Lily, practically vibrating with excitement, tugged on Mai's hand. Mommy, can we go see the ducks first? Please? Mai smiled, adjusting the strap of her bag. Patience, Lilybug. We'll see the ducks. Mr. Peterson, would you like to walk with us to the pond? Mr. Peterson, who had been quietly observing the children playing near the entrance, nodded. Certainly, Mai. Lead the way. As they strolled along the paved path, a flash of red caught Lily's eye. A small boy, maybe 7 or 8, wearing a bright red t-shirt and even brighter blue shorts, was chasing a rogue soccer ball across the grass. He weaved between picnicking families and dodged frisbees with surprising agility. Look, Mommy, he's really fast! Lily exclaimed, pointing. Just then, the boy, distracted by a particularly enticing dandelion, tripped over an exposed tree root. He landed hard, a yelp escaping his lips as the soccer ball rolled harmlessly away. Mai gasped, hurrying towards him. Mr. Peterson followed close behind, his expression immediately concerned. The boy sat up, clutching his knee, his face contorted in pain. Tears welled in his eyes. Are you all right? Mai asked, kneeling beside him. My knee, it hurts, he whimpered, his voice thick with tears. Mr. Peterson gently examined the injured leg. Looks like a bit of a scrape. Nothing too serious, but we should clean it up. He spoke in a calm, reassuring voice that seemed to soothe the boy instantly. Lily, who had been watching with wide, empathetic eyes, piped up, does it bleed? The boy, whose name, Mai learned, was Tommy Davis, nodded miserably. He peeked at his knee through his fingers. Mr. Peterson, without a word, reached into his worn canvas bag. He produced a small, well-stocked first aid kit. Mai was surprised, it was far more comprehensive than anything she carried herself. He carefully cleaned the scrape with antiseptic wipes, his touch gentle and precise. Tommy winced, but Mr. Peterson's steady, reassuring presence seemed to give him courage. "Almost done, young man," he said softly. "Just a little sting, then we'll put a bandage on it." As Mr. Peterson applied a colorful bandage decorated with cartoon dinosaurs, Tommy sniffled, his tears subsiding. "Thank you," he mumbled. "You're very welcome," Mr. Peterson replied with a kind smile. "Now, try not to run quite so fast next time, all right?" Tommy nodded, a small grin returning to his face. He stood up, gingerly testing his weight on the injured leg. "I think I'm okay," he announced. Mai squeezed his shoulder. "Be careful, Tommy. And maybe find your parents to let them know what happened." Tommy nodded again and, with a wave, darted off to retrieve his soccer ball, his earlier accident seemingly forgotten. Mai watched him go, a sense of relief washing over her. Lily, still curious, turned to Mr. Peterson. "How did you know what to do? And how did you have all those things in your bag?" Mr. Peterson simply shrugged, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "Just a habit, Lily. Always good to be prepared." A familiar face. "Hold still now, young man," the old man said, his voice surprisingly steady as he unwrapped a small first aid kit from his worn canvas bag. Tommy, momentarily distracted from his tears, watched with wide eyes as Mr. Peterson carefully cleaned the scrape on his knee with an antiseptic wipe. The sting made him flinch, but Mr. Peterson's gentle touch and murmured reassurances kept him from crying out again. "All better," Mr. Peterson announced, securing a bright blue bandage over the wound. "Good as new. Now, go on and play. But try to stay on your feet this time, eh?" Tommy grinned, the pain already fading into the background. "Thank you, mister." He trailed off, suddenly realizing he didn't know the man's name. "Peterson," the old man supplied with a kind smile. "Arthur Peterson. But you can call me Art." Mai, who had been hovering anxiously nearby, felt a jolt run through her. "Peterson. Arthur Peterson." The name echoed in a distant corner of her mind, stirring something long dormant. It couldn't be. It was too improbable. "Mr. Peterson," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Were you ever stationed at Fort Carson?" His brow furrowed slightly. "Why, yes, I was. A long time ago." "How did you know?" The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Fort Carson. The fire. The smoke. The searing heat. It all came rushing back, a torrent of fragmented memories flooding her senses. She was 7 years old, trapped in her bedroom as flames licked at the window. The smell of burning wood, the acrid taste of smoke, the terrifying roar of the fire, she could almost feel it, taste it, hear it. Then, a figure emerged from the inferno, silhouetted against the raging flames. A soldier. Strong arms lifting her, shielding her from the heat. A gruff but reassuring voice cutting through the chaos, promising she would be all right. He had carried her out of the burning house, away from the danger, into the blessed coolness of the night air. She had always remembered his face, though time had blurred the details. Young, determined, etched with soot and concern. A hero. But she had never known his name. Until now. "The fire," she breathed, her voice trembling. "The house fire on Willow Creek Road. Years ago. You saved me." Mr. Peterson's eyes widened, a flicker of recognition in their depths. He studied her face intently, his gaze lingering on her features. Willow Creek. Goodness, that was a lifetime ago. A little girl, with pigtails. He chuckled softly, a hint of disbelief in his voice. "Is that really you?" Tears welled in Mai's eyes, blurring her vision. She nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. "Yes," she managed to whisper. "It's me. Mai Chen. I never forgot you." The park, the children playing, the vibrant colors of the playground, all faded into a muted background as Mai stared at the man who had saved her life. A lifetime of gratitude, unspoken and unacknowledged, now surged within her, threatening to overwhelm her. She reached out, her hand trembling slightly, and gently touched his arm. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for everything." Echoes of the past. The faint aroma of wood smoke drifting from the Petersons' hearth tugged at something deep within me. It wasn't altogether unpleasant, yet it reeked of old fears, a sharp, bitter tang like the dregs of a nightmare. Gazing at the flickering flames behind the screen, her fingers tightened around the warm ceramic of her teacup. She'd buried that fire deep, hadn't dared to exhume it. But here, cocooned in Mr. Peterson's cozy living room, the dormant memories stirred, uneasy specters rising from the ashes of the past. The inferno's oppressive weight pressed upon her chest, stealing the air from her lungs. She recalled being upstairs, occupied with laundry, when the smoke alarm's shrill cry sliced through the quiet. A feeble shriek that barely registered against the impending roar. Scrambling to the window, she saw the hallway filled with swirling, acrid smoke. Below, the garden seemed miles away, an impossible escape. Then, through the swirling blackness, a figure emerged, a silhouette against the raging blaze. A soldier. The rough uniform, the determined line of his jaw dusted with soot. He shouted something, words lost to the din, before shattering the flimsy doorframe of her room. Without pause, he scooped her up, a terrified child, and plunged back into the fiery chaos. The searing heat licked at her skin, the smoke rasped in her throat, yet she remained silent, clinging to the coarse fabric of his uniform, placing her trust in him completely. She could still feel the bone-jarring descent, the groaning timbers threatening to collapse above. Then, the sudden rush of cool night air as they stumbled through the doorway, the exquisite relief of cool grass beneath her. A glimpse of him then, just for a moment, before the paramedics descended. A young man, his face a canvas of soot, his eyes weary yet holding a quiet triumph. He nodded to her mother, a brief, almost apologetic gesture, before vanishing back into the pandemonium. Mr. Peterson's gentle cough jolted her back to the present. "More tea, my." She blinked, the soldier's image dissolving. She truly looked at Mr. Peterson then, noticing the laugh lines crinkling around his kind eyes, the quiet strength etched into his weathered hands. So unassuming, so modest. Never a word about his service, no trace of boasting. A wave of understanding, a tide of profound gratitude, washed over her, stealing her breath. "Mr. Peterson," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "That fire." He raised a hand, a soft smile playing on his lips. "That was a lifetime ago, my. Best left undisturbed." But undisturbed it would not be. Not by her. He had gifted her a life. Given her a future. And dismissed it as nothing. She averted her gaze, unable to meet his. The past echoed with a deafening resonance, vibrating within her with undeniable force. The soldier, the blaze, the miraculous rescue, it all coalesced into a singular, unshakable truth. Mr. Peterson was a hero. Her hero. And her debt to him was immeasurable. Gratitude revealed. Mai Chen discovered Mr. Peterson by the duck pond, a half-empty bag of hardened bread clutched in his weathered hand. He scattered pieces to the clamoring ducks, his gaze serene with a tranquility that seemed almost defiant in light of recent events. A wave of profound thankfulness washed over her, constricting her throat. She'd come without a script, unprepared for polished pronouncements. Authenticity demanded she speak directly from the heart. She approached with measured steps, the soft earth cushioning her advance. He remained oblivious until she drew near. Turning, a spark of surprise lit his gentle, cerulean eyes. "Mai? Is everything all right?" His voice was a low, comforting timbre. The question undid her. The self-control she'd painstakingly assembled shattered, tears sprang forth, blurring the scene. She blinked, struggling for composure, but the floodgates had opened. "Mr. Peterson," she began, her voice tremulous, "words fail me when I try to express my gratitude." He furrowed his brow, a crease deepening between his eyes. "Gratitude? What for, dear?" He seemed genuinely perplexed, as if the inferno had already retreated into the recesses of his memory. "For what you did," she choked out, the word snagging in her windpipe. For saving my family. My children. A denial started to form, but she overrode him, driven by the compelling need to articulate the immense debt she felt. You risked everything, Mr. Peterson. You charged into that blaze without hesitation. You rescued my children. You saved me. How can I ever begin to repay such a debt? He shifted uncomfortably, his gaze fixed on the water. Now, it wasn't like that. Anyone would have done the same. No, she countered, drawing closer. Not everyone possesses such bravery, such selflessness. You are a hero, Mr. Peterson. A genuine hero. He sighed, a breath that stirred the sparse white strands crowning his head. I simply reacted. I heard the children crying, and I couldn't simply stand by. I couldn't bear to do nothing. He shrugged, his shoulders stiff with modesty. Besides, I knew that building. I've been in that old place countless times. Mai reached out, gently enclosing his hand, her fingers pressing into the leathery skin. The simple touch spoke volumes. You are an extraordinary man, Mr. Peterson. A treasure to this community, to my family. I will carry what you did for us in my heart forever. A subtle flush bloomed on his neck. He averted his gaze, clearing his throat roughly. All right. Enough of that. I'm simply glad you're all safe. That's the sole reward I need. He resumed tossing bread, his movements more hurried now, as if trying to deflect her heartfelt gratitude. Mai gave his hand one final squeeze before releasing it. She understood his aversion to lavish displays. He preferred acts of quiet compassion, shrouded in unassuming humility. Still, she needed him to know, to truly grasp the depth of her appreciation. Perhaps, finally, he did. A hero's true worth. Lily, purportedly organizing mahjong tiles, was in reality erecting a teetering pagoda of jade dragons by the entryway. But all the while, her attention was laser-focused on the murmured exchange between her mother and Mr. Peterson near the counter. We are eternally indebted, Mr. Peterson, Mai Chen expressed, her voice thick with emotion. Your assistance enabled us to recover from everything. Nonsense, Mai, Mr. Peterson demurred gently. It was a mere pittance. Your family spirit is what truly pulled you through. Lily crept closer, abandoning her precarious construction. A pittance? Everything? What could they possibly be referring to? Pittance? You provided almost half the funds needed. A complete stranger, hearing of our plight after our home was destroyed. Mai's voice caught. The blaze. A searing image flashed through Lily's mind, skeletal timbers being carted away, the lingering bitter tang in the air, the neighbors' hushed condolences. She had been too young to grasp the totality of the devastation, the crushing financial burden it imposed. Someone had to step up, Mr. Peterson murmured, almost to himself. I simply found myself in a position to lend a hand. He shifted, and Lily glimpsed a faint, pale line tracing his wrist, vanishing beneath his worn flannel cuff. Not a burn, though. This looked like an old, closed-over cut. But why? Mai persisted, genuine bewilderment coloring her tone. You barely knew us. What compelled you to such generosity? A drawn-out silence hung in the air. Lily stilled, every nerve straining to decipher Mr. Peterson's reply. I saw a family struggling, he finally answered, his voice firm yet subdued. Anne? I've witnessed my share of tribulations. Alleviating another's suffering is sometimes the only way to find meaning in it. He hesitated, then added almost as an afterthought, besides, I know the sting of losing everything to a fire. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces slotted into place. The scar. The quiet benevolence. The humble manner. The uncanny way he always knew how to soothe her grandmother's anxieties. Lily recalled tales her grandmother had spun of a local legend, a war veteran who had fearlessly rescued a family from a house fire years ago. That vet vanished after the event, shunning accolades. The surviving family, utterly ruined, eventually relocated, and the narrative faded into local lore. Lily's eyes widened in dawning comprehension. Could it be possible? Was Mr. Peterson that very veteran? A wave of shame engulfed her. She had judged him based on his outward appearance, his threadbare clothes, the way he meticulously counted his change. She'd seen only a simple old man with limited means, not the courageous individual who had risked his life for others, the one who had silently enabled her family's resurgence. Lily grasped it then. Real worth wasn't tallied in dollars or gleaming medals. It resided in kindness, in valor, in the unsung acts of selflessness that often went unnoticed. She yearned to rush to him, to express her gratitude, to confess her regrettable misjudgment. Instead, she remained transfixed, humbled by the revelation. A seismic shift occurred within her, a profound realization that appearances could be deceiving, and that everyday heroes often walked unrecognized among them, shrouded in the guise of ordinary folk. Ice cream and appreciation. Lily clutched the crinkled $5 bill in her sweaty palm. It represented weeks of diligent chore completion, of resisting the siren call of sparkly stickers and miniature figurines in Mrs. Gable's shop window. Usually, her allowance vanished faster than a sugar cube in hot tea, but this time, she had a mission. Mr. Peterson. The man who hadn't just offered a spare room after the fire, but also quietly slipped her mother a thick envelope of cash. Lily had overheard her mother whispering thanks to Aunt Clara about it, her voice thick with emotion. He said it was from a fund for veterans, but I know he added to it himself, Mai had said, wiping her eyes. Such a kind man. Kind didn't seem a big enough word. Heroic, maybe. But Mr. Peterson always brushed off praise like it was lint on his shoulder. Lily needed to show her appreciation, a tangible thank you that transcended words. Ice cream. She knew Mr. Peterson loved butter pecan. She'd seen him order it at the parlor downtown, a small, satisfied smile gracing his lips. The thought of that smile fueled her feet as she skipped towards the corner store, the $5 burning a hole in her hand. The bell above the door jingled merrily as she entered, the cool air a welcome respite from the summer heat. Mrs. Higgins, the store owner, greeted her with a warm smile. Lily, what can I get for you today? Lily puffed out her chest. I need a pint of butter pecan ice cream, please. Mrs. Higgins chuckled. Someone's got good taste. That's a favorite around here. She retrieved the pint from the freezer, its cardboard container frosted with condensation. The price tag made Lily's stomach flip. It was more expensive than she remembered. She handed over the $5 bill, her fingers trembling slightly. Mrs. Higgins rang it up, then counted out the change. Lily's heart sank a little, there was so little left. She scooped up the coins and tucked them into her pocket, then clutched the ice cream protectively. Back at Mr. Peterson's, the air was thick with the scent of honeysuckle from the garden. Lily found him on the porch swing, reading a book, a gentle breeze ruffling his silver hair. Mr. Peterson, she called out, her voice bubbling with excitement. He looked up, a smile instantly lighting his face. Lily! What brings you here? She held out the ice cream. I bought you this. It's your favorite. His eyebrows rose in surprise. Butter pecan? Why, that's very thoughtful of you, Lily. Mai emerged from the house, drawn by Lily's voice. Seeing the ice cream, her own expression softened. Lily, that was very kind, but you shouldn't have spent your money. I wanted to, Lily insisted, thrusting the pint forward. It's a thank you. Mr. Peterson took the ice cream, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Well, in that case, I accept with pleasure. But let's all share. He disappeared inside and returned with 3 spoons. They sat on the porch swing, the 3 of them, passing the pint back and forth. The ice cream was cold and creamy, the butter pecan chunks melting on their tongues. Laughter bubbled up between them as they shared stories and jokes, the setting sun painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Lily felt a warmth spread through her, a feeling that had nothing to do with the summer heat. It was the warmth of connection, of gratitude, and of shared joy. This small act, this simple pint of ice cream, had created something special, a bond that transcended the fire and the loss, a testament to the kindness that bloomed even in the darkest of times.